Hello and welcome to Matrix Live. My guest today is Peter Klein, product manager at Tele2. I'm sorry, Swedes, this is probably not the right way to say it. He's here to talk about dSam and eSam and, of course, Matrix. Peter, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
Can you tell us a bit more about Tele2 and who you are, actually?
Yeah, sure. So Tele2 is the challenger in the operator space here in Sweden. So we're an operator in telecoms as well as datacom. We're also an integrator working with datacom and tele kind of juicy solutions, PBXs and all this other stuff. And also we've been working a bit in the digital meetings area for quite some time as well.
Right, so I've talked about dSam and eSam. Those are acronyms. Can you tell us a bit more about what they are?
Yeah, sure. So there's quite the confusion since those names are so similar to each other. But eSam stands for eSamverka, and that is an association of a couple of, I think it's 36 different public organizations with kind of the tax agency, the unemployment agency, the traffic board, and so on, and a lot of other organizations, which has been worked together for many years to promote kind of the digital transformation in Sweden. So they've done numerous projects on, say, secure identity, channels for communications with citizens, and so on. And then during the pandemic, there were kind of two triggers, or three triggers actually. The pandemic itself, the fact that Skype was going to kind of go away and be replaced by a US cloud service, Teams, because they were very heavily reliant on Skype. But also the ruling from CGEU that you could not use US services for sensitive data, or actually for any personal data at that time. So those triggers triggered another working group, another project in eSamverka that was called Digital Platforms for Secure Collaboration. And that acronym turned into dSam, so Digital Samverkan. So those are that's kind of the background from eSamverka to dSam and the platform there.
Right, so it was it GDPR actually that sort of forced this effort to happen?
Yeah, it was GDPR, but also a lot of other things. I think you start to think about that first of all, like GDPR is kind of, yeah, that's the trigger. But there are so many other things that you work with within a municipality, for example. There are sensitive data. There's much more sensitive than kind of just the IP address, the name, and email of someone. If you talk about a citizen in kind of the healthcare agenda or something like that, it's much more sensitive data. You have you have the total defense, you can call it as well. Everything that has to do with what happens if we're in a crisis situation. That is data we don't want to have outside of the Swedish kind of realm.
Right.
So a lot of things there. Yeah. So what dSam then did is they created a project where they worked for, this was from 2021 until 2022 for kind of 18 months, where they both looked at the vendors, what's available on the market, kind of excluding everything that was an American cloud or non-European cloud to be specific, and said, okay, what can we do with the vendors and the solutions that are available in the market? Put together kind of a big list of everything is available, ranking it and saying these things are possible to use. They didn't really make recommendations because they didn't feel it was in their place, but they made objective calls on, okay, what should be available for usage.
Okay, so when you talk about vendors and solutions, it's for specific tasks. Do you know what were the tasks considered in the perimeter of that study?
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, the first thing to replace Skype, there are two things you really need to do. You need to do chat, and persistent chat was what they wanted. And on that matter, I mean, this is where Matrix comes in, Matrix and Element and some other vendors. But it was also digital meetings. So like we're doing today, we're doing a digital meeting. It was whiteboarding, Kanban boards, document sharing in different forms, some other things as well. But those kind of were the main things. And there were a lot of work being put down for the chat specifically, since this was seen as very much key to not only working inside an organization, but actually between organizations.
Okay, so you have mentioned when we were talking about chat, you mentioned encryption and GDPR and sovereignty, etc. Were there a fixed set of requirements, or was it more of a general evaluation of the capabilities of vendors, what they can offer? What drove the choice towards Matrix?
Yeah. So I think they started very broadly, just very open-minded, saying, okay, what can we do? What is possible on the market? At the same time, looking at what do we need as a community, the Swedish government. So what is it that we really need? What is available? Trying to get some sort of fix between that. They actually put all the requirements down in a spreadsheet then and said, okay, to the full report, said, these are all the requirements that you could, as an organization, ask for.
Mm-hmm.
Specifically why they chose Matrix as their provider, I think that's down to both the end-to-end encryption features, obviously. Security was very, very important. But specifically, I think that federation was the thing that put kind of the really heavy emphasis on Matrix. Being able to do something without having a vendor lock in. To say, we can use this solution, and you, another organization, you can use completely different solution from completely different code base, and we are still going to be able to talk to each other. And when I try to explain this to our customers, and they draw the similarities to email, and say,
Mm-hmm.
if we're to say you can't send an email from Gmail to Outlook to Yahoo, it's like, why? Of course, you should be able to do the same thing in chat, but you're not for various reasons. But with Matrix, you can actually do that. It's not going to be specific to a single instance or even a single vendor on different places. They actually wrote a specific report on federation versus bridging versus, well, two things, and were very specific that federation is the way to go, and Matrix is basically on the protocol that is open that can do this.
Right. I'm really happy to see that federation and actually using an open protocol has been a key differentiator here, because writing a protocol is quite difficult. Because when you are writing an open protocol, you need to make sure that you are taking the consideration of all the parties that could be interested, and make sure that you are not unnecessarily stuffing things in the protocol. So it's really a lot more effort than just rolling out a solution. I'm really happy to see that it has been useful in the case of Sweden. So you have been talking about federation. My question would be, is it going to be federation internally inside the various services of the public sector? Or are you going to, or is the public sector expecting to federate with other countries that are already relying on Matrix? I'm thinking, for example, about France, who is using CHAP, Germany with the Gematik requirements, and Germany is using Matrix in the public sector quite heavily. I think Ukraine comes to mind, and others.
Yeah. Well, it's difficult to say because it's not going to be up to us. I mean, technically we can do it and we want to do it, but it's going to be up to each customer to say what's your requirement, what do you need to do. I'm hoping for it. That's kind of my plan, my dream. But obviously, it's going to be up to each organization saying, yes, it's important enough for us to have open federation. It's important for us to have federation with these specific guys in Sweden, or perhaps we'll even see, well, some agencies say we're going to federate with only these guys in Sweden, and our counterparts there, but not everyone else. But I think the time will tell. Technically, it's not a problem, and that's the good thing. We're not locked into anything there.
Right. I'm using that opportunity to plug the Matrix conference. We didn't announce it too widely yet because I'm working on the website conference to be able to launch a call for paper. So don't panic. It's really you have early insider information. The conference is going to happen in Berlin this year on September 19 to 22. And we expect people from the public sector and from the private sector, as well as hackers from the community who just love Matrix, to gather in a place where they can all meet and talk about the various projects, how it could make sense for them to interoperate with each other, federate together, etc. And just basically be there, hack together, and have a nice time. Back to Matrix Live.
Yes.
What is Tele2's Matrix offering? So is it specifically a Matrix offering, or do you have a sort of bundle that you're offering for the whole public sector?
Yeah, we have a bundle. I'm actually, if it's okay, I'm going to show a few slides that I
Sure.
showed some customer just this morning, actually. So I've been busy here trying to promote this. Let's see. There we go. So what we did, since we saw that there was no solution that can do everything, we kind of bundled everything together. And Element was the perfect platform for doing that. Basically, any platform or any client that could use widgets could have been perfect for us. Element was the way to go. So we bundled the persistent chat with digital meetings from Cisco and file sharing, kind of the included file sharing in Matrix. So that's kind of basic. And then we've added a whiteboard solution. And I'm actually going to flick through a few slides. You won't have to see everything. Yeah, I'm first going to look at this and see. So this is put together in a way that the customer can consume this in various forms, so to speak. And we're doing the same thing with telephony. We are doing this on-prem, so you can buy your PBX and have it on-prem, and we are still taking responsibility over it as a service. You can buy this as a private cloud. We're doing something specifically for you, but it's in our basement or in our data centers. But I think the main focus here is the national cloud, so to speak. So we've created a single service, a specific bundling where everything is put together. You have a specific price. They say, okay, this is our bundling of Tele2 samarbete, Tele2 collaboration, as it's called. Where we include then, everything is digital sovereignty or focused on digital sovereignty, focused on security, focused on robustness. And if you look into it, I'm going to just flick through a few slides. You can see that this is the matrix or the element canvas, so to speak. We made our own theme just to make it Tele2 blue. Our marketing was very insistent. It has to be Tele2 blue on everything. Yep. If you look into the matrix part, the one-to-one chat and so on, everyone will just know what it looks like. You have encryption activated and so on. It's in Swedish, as you probably can know, but you can probably guess what it says. We have obviously the one-to-one calling with WebRTC and so on. But then we started to create some things that were unique for us then. So one of the things was digital meetings. Usually you want to start your digital meeting in Outlook. You want to create a meeting and then just add something. So we created this simple Outlook plugin, which adds some text in the bottom of the information here, on the bottom of the invite. And from there, you could either click the link and you get right into the meeting, or if you are not logged into Matrix, you get to a page looking like this, so you can join as a guest into the meeting. This is based on the Cisco meeting server, because we have that service already. We call it Tele2 Video, a meeting service which is based on, again, standards. So the SIP standard, the H323, and all those older standards, because because there is a lot of legacy solutions are running around in the Swedish public sector, and we wanted to keep that. If this is going to be the future, or if we're going to do something completely based on Matrix, I don't know. But at the moment, this is what we decided to do. Therefore, you also get the zip invite here, and one of the key advantages is that you can get this kind of join button as well. So when you go into your conference room, you forwarded your invitation to the room, you can just go in there, click join, and you're good to go. So that's kind of the first thing we did to put all these things together. And then this is nicely integrated into the framework of Element, so you don't have to leave the solution for it. It's still a different solution, it's a different thing. And the second thing we did was that we added a whiteboard to every project room. So if you add a new room, it'll automatically, through the Matrix API, we have our own glue, so to speak, in the background. When I click the button to start a new project, it will automatically add this widget with a completely blank canvas. Everyone who joins the room can work in the same whiteboard canvas. And you can add pictures, you can use it for Kanban boards and so on. So it's very, very easy to get started with this. So that's kind of the look and feel of our solution. It's been very well received so far, with customers saying, well, looks good. But to be honest, there are long cycles here for people to take decisions. So
Yeah, public sector and in particular procurement can be sometimes difficult to navigate when you are not used to it. So it's famous for taking time. One thing that makes me very happy, of course, I would be happier if it relied on Matrix for calls as well. But one thing that makes me really happy is that it doesn't, and it's not a problem. So I'm really happy to see how an open protocol can actually be used with other protocols, even proprietary solutions on the side, because it can be very difficult to move away from solutions like Skype or Cisco or anything else. And you don't have to do a big bang. You can just progressively improve the situation. So really glad to see that at play in a major country like Sweden. Is there anything we forgot to cover during the episode? Did you want to add something?
Yeah, I can take that thing about element call, because that's obviously a way we're looking to go forward. So I mean, we were looking into it and see maybe that's going to be the future, maybe not. Maybe it's going to be the future for some organizations that say, okay, end-to-end encryption is much more important for us than the legacy calling. But we'll see what happens. Let's see if we have missed something. I think that's about what we have talked about as questions here.
Mm-hmm. Back to Element Call, I know there are some public sector organizations who are interested in seeing. So we are using Element Call here because it's the name of a product that everybody can use. But what we mean here is MSC, I think it's 3404. Basically using native group calls on Matrix, whether it's Element, Fluffy Chat, or anything. I know there are several organizations in the public sector of various countries who are interested in developing that. The thing is, nothing happens without a budget and without anybody developing that. So I hope we're going to get many people from the public sector at the Matrix conference, because it's going to be the place to be. If you want to save money, you just have to buy a ticket, and then you can gather and meet all the people from the public sector and say, hey, by the way, we have the same need. We should pool money or resources to make things happen.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And I read Matthew's blog post a couple of weeks ago as well. And I completely agree. What I find is very good for us is that since we're using this kind of the enterprise solution here, it's an easy way also for the government to, when they buy this as a service from us, we buy it as a service from you, and therefore you're basically funding the open source development. And I think that's really important to understand that everything needs funding, it needs to come some way. And this is kind of, instead of funding just a commercial solution, you can fund it through us, but it will come to everyone's benefit.
Yes, absolutely. So the power of open source at play here,
Mm.
with the backside of the middle, which is open source is usually easily funded if you are implementing new features, but when you are doing maintenance, it's much more difficult because nobody wants to pay for it. But anyway, this this is going a bit off topic here. All right, did you want to talk about anything else, Peter?
No, I think that's quite good.
All
I think it's
right.
good.
Well, in that case, thank you very much, Peter, for the interview, and I'll see you next week, Matrix Live. See you around.
Yeah. Thank you.